Hey, what's up, everyone? Back for this Monday slate. We have an 8-game slate for tonight, so let's get into it. You can drop a like down below before we get started and subscribe if you have not already. Looking to get back on track after a Sunday slate where not a lot went right. The Spurs sucked, and Levine sucked once again. Going to be done with him for a while, but just Sundays are probably the day where not everything goes according to plan. It seems like Sundays. A lot of weird things happen, but hopefully some of you guys had a good day. But personally, I'm looking forward to this Monday slate where we have a lot to like. Point guard here, you got a lot of options. At the top, you have Westbrook, Doncic, Young, and Harden. If I had to rank them, it would probably be Doncic, Young, Harden, then Westbrook, just the way they've been playing right now. I like Doncic a lot against Minnesota. They are just awful defensively. Seems like he's going to play. Shouldn't be limited. Hopefully not. But if you give him 34 minutes here, 35 minutes against his team, has a chance to get a triple-double. He's been very solid this entire season. One of the better fantasy producers out there. So definitely liking him at home against Minnesota on a back-to-back. I think there's some value here at this position as well with under 7K. You have like Lou Williams if George is out again and if Beverly's out again is in play. And then Butler's out for the Heat again, so Kendrick Nunn looks pretty good at 56. You got Conley, who's just never popular, but he always just seems to get the job done. It's like the perfect, safe play. Gets a 6x value. He's done that in 6 or 5 straight games. So he looks pretty good. And then the Sixers are very short-handed, so Alec Burks, Glenn Robinson, Korkmaz are all going to get big boosts in minutes. Personally, I'm looking at Kendrick Nunn right now at 56. It's the same exact spot as it was last game where he went for 46. Played him then. I'm going to probably play him again. The price tag did go up, so it's not he's not a slam dunk play like he was that day, but I think he's still in play. Cleveland is awful defensively. They've struggled against guards all year long, one of the worst teams in the league at defending guards. They are decent against bigs just because they have Drummond now. They have Love. But against point guards, Garland is awful defensively. Sexton's awful. So I feel like Kendrick Nunn gets a big boost in production, in usage without Butler. At 56, we've seen him get huge minutes, and he played 35 in a blowout. Could get you 36, 37, even if the game is competitive. Over at shooting guard, I am looking at Devin Booker at just 8,000. It's a tough matchup, but he's been pretty consistent lately. I don't think he's a cash play, but if you want to go for a low-owned play, I think he's a decent option. But at this position, I think I'll probably spend down under 65. You got Lou Williams, depending on the status of George and Beverly. You have Beasley looks fine. If Russell, they said he's expected to play. If he happens to, if his status changes, then he would be a great play if he happens to not play. And then I would say that we have quite a bit of value at this position. You have Alec Burks at 4,900. Will probably start, or even if he doesn't start, he can come off the bench, be the sixth man. We should see high 20s, maybe low 30s in minutes. Sixers are missing Simmons, and they're also missing Tobias Harris. So a lot of usage, a lot of scoring has opened up. I think Brooks, ever since Dylan Brooks has gotten paid, he's turned into just an awful shooter. He's made exactly 4 shots in 5 out of his last 6 games, and he's taking double-digit shots every single time. It's a tough matchup against Clippers. He's cheap, but I don't think I'm going to play him on DraftKings. I think you could consider him on FanDuel at his price point, on FanDuel at 4,300. But really, Josh Richardson looks good. This is a spot where Richardson should be able to get back on track. Should see big minutes in the 30s. We'll get a lot more point guard duties, and we'll have to score the ball a lot because without Tobias and without Simmons, that's 40, 50 points that are up for grabs on this offense. At small forward, I am not really interested in paying up here at this position. Probably be going for a value play. Covington looks great at 6,000. Shot 3 of 14. Managed 33 fantasy points. Not a lot of players can do that. Covington can definitely do it again against the Knicks. Just with the way the Rockets play with the lack of a center, Covington just gets a nice rebounding bump and is going to shoot a lot. He's taken double-digit shots every game in this last five. Last five. So the shots are open. He's going to get good looks with teams focusing on Harden and Westbrook. Just a matter of if he can knock him down. I think Crowder looks fine at 5,100 without Butler. And for value, there's quite a bit of value at this position too. If Hunter misses again, then Reddish looks good. Wish I stuck with him. I had him in the original video, but then I got away from him. But he was amazing with 37 fantasy points at 4,100 last time. Korkmaz looks good at 4K. He's going to have to play quite a bit. Gordon looks good as a value play. A lot of cheap options at small forward. Probably one of my favorites is Glenn Robinson. Should start. Should see like high 20s, low 30s in minutes at least. And just a great matchup against Atlanta. Is going to have his best chance to produce as a member of the Sixers. And he's only 3,200, so a lot to like. Probably one of the better value plays on the slate right now. At power forward, it's Giannis at 11.4. Looks good. I think Kevin Love, if he's probable, he looks fine. His cheap price point at 71. I talked about Covington. I like him quite a bit. Without Jaren Jackson for a couple weeks, Clark should start and should see good minutes here. It's a tough matchup, but 5,500 for Clark. He's been a good producer in terms of point per minute. Well over a point per minute on the season. If you give him over 30 minutes, should be able to pay off a $5,500 salary. He's just a good rebounder. And in this spot here, if Valanciunas happens to get into foul trouble, or sometimes they just like to play Clark at the 5. So he matches up pretty well, I guess, against Harrell and Zubac. So I think at 55, he looks like a decent option as power forward. There's not a lot at this position that is jumping off the page. And then as center is definitely Joel Embiid. Going to be paying 95 for him. This is the best spot for him to probably get a season high in scoring. Maybe even like a career high. If he's really motivated, it's at home. The Sixers are unstoppable at home. Embiid is going to have all the usage that he wants. Going to have all the ability to shoot as much as he wants as well. And Atlanta is awful defensively. Feels like a great spot for Embiid tonight. And then at guard, I like Luka. 10.5 is just a nice price point on DraftKings. Before, in January, he was 12.4, 12.1, and we were paying that price tag a lot of the time. So at just 10.5, it doesn't really make a lot of sense for his price point right now. Just a really good play. I think paying up for two superstars is a way that I am approaching the slate, at least. And then over on FanDuel here, talk about this slate. I think at point guard, Doncic looks amazing at 98. Young looks fine at 96. Both of them are viable, I would say. Morant looks good at 62. He has been awful, but I think he can get back on track. And then if you want to go cheap, definitely Kendrick Nunn looks great at 47 on FanDuel. That's a spot where I'm definitely going to have him in there. Just really cheap. It's a great matchup. No Butler. Should get 35 minutes at least tonight. At shooting guard, Bradley Beal is pretty appealing on FanDuel at 8,700. LeVert is cheap once again at 65. He's gotten it done with the steals last game with 6 steals, and it was also a blowout, so he lost some minutes, but he looks very good at 6,500. He can definitely pay that price tag off. Lou Williams looks good. Josh Richardson looks good. I think you can take a shot on $4,300 Dillon Brooks here. Just nobody's going to play him for tournaments. He's still playing good minutes, and without Jackson, they should see even more usage on offense. Jaren Jackson does like to shoot quite a bit, so Brooks is going to be able to shoot. I mean, even though he's been struggling, he's still taking 15, 16 shots a game. If he happens to have a good shooting game, nobody's going to be on him. I think 43 makes some sense. But $4,000 for Alec Burks is a good spot that I want to get him in there on DraftKings. He is more expensive than Josh Richardson by $100, and on FanDuel he is $1,000 cheaper. I think both are viable, but Burks, if he starts, he looks great. Even if he comes off the bench, I think he's still viable just because they are pretty shorthanded, and he's closed some of these games. Or he closed against Brooklyn, So they do give him minutes, and if he's playing well, he will be out there just to shoot and make some offense and be a ball handler. At small forward, Giannis at 11.8. Definitely the only spend up really at the position if George sits, because after Giannis, you go all the way down to 62 for Hardaway. Not appealing if Luka's back like we all expect. I think Crowder at 48 looks good. Morris is down to 4,400. If they are still banged up, that looks like a fine value play. And then Glenn Robinson at 38. That looks fine as well as a cheapie. But Giannis is I'm probably gonna try to get Giannis on FanDuel at least, just because you need two small forwards, and it is a pretty slim pickings after you get past Giannis. At power forward, it's definitely Covington looks good. Randall looks good at 78. And a $5,200 Brennan Clark looks good. And $6,000 Kevin Love. He is so cheap on FanDuel. That looks fine too. So those are like the four that I'm really considering. I still like Clark at 5,200. I think just going to get more minutes. He's been pretty productive when he's given opportunities. And I don't think Winslow will play. See, if he happens to play, then that would make him a little bit less appealing. He's already been ruled out, so that is good for Clark in terms of minutes. So they are pretty shorthanded without Jackson, because they're already waiting for Winslow to make his return. So we've seen Kyle Anderson get good minutes, but Clark should see 30 minutes at least, just depending on if he's not in foul trouble. And then at center, it's definitely Joel Embiid. Gonna pay for him. The guy that I want to build my lineup around today is Embiid against Atlanta at home. With all the injuries on Philly, he's gonna just dominate the usage. And he is not even that expensive. 10K is still a bargain in the matchup. So that's kind of what I'm looking at as an early look for this slate. Updates will be posted on Twitter as we get more news. Thanks for watching, and good luck today.